My name is Lucy, and until not long ago, I thought my life had a quiet rhythm. It wasn't perfect, but it was steady enough to feel safe. I was married to Adam, a soft-spoken man who built bridges and roads with the same calm steadiness he brought home. We lived in a restored adobe house in Santa Fe, where sunlight would spill across the scuffed wooden floors, filling the rooms with a stillness that felt like a promise. I taught literature at the local high school, losing myself in stories of love, loss, and courage, while Adam ran his construction company with steady hands. We didn't have children. It had always been just the two of us, sharing quiet evenings over a glass of wine, dreaming about renovating the old guest house one day. That life, the one I believed would last, shifted in an instant. It was a rainy afternoon when my sister Lisa showed up at my door. Her eyes were red, face puffy, her life crammed into a worn-out backpack. She had just finalized her divorce from a high-powered executive in Dallas. When she said, "I just need to breathe," I didn't hesitate. We had shared everything growing up: the cramped bedrooms, the silence after Mom left, whispered dreams in the dark. I knew she needed a safe place to land. At first, it felt natural having her around. She helped around the house, wandered sunlit trails, and talked about starting an online jewelry shop. Santa Fe's artsy vibe seemed to wake her up again. Adam was polite, distant, but polite. I trusted the quiet balance we had. Then little things started to change. Adam began coming home later, blaming job sites and surprise meetings. Lisa, once full of plans, started retreating indoors, a shadow crossing her face. It was subtle at first, easy to brush aside. Until the photo. It came through during a break at school, a shaky, rushed picture Lisa had taken. Adam, sitting at a restaurant, laughing with a woman whose face was hidden behind a curtain of blonde hair. Lisa's message was short: "Sis, I didn't know how to tell you, but he's cheating. You need to see this." My heart stopped. There was Adam, familiar and yet suddenly a stranger. "Who is she?" I texted back. Lisa answered, "I think it's the new architect he hired. Blonde. Elegant. I've seen them together." That night, Adam came home like nothing had happened. Kissed my forehead, kicked off his shoes, and asked what was for dinner. I stood there, clutching a dish towel, trying to keep my hands from shaking. "Where were you today?" I asked, as evenly as I could. "Site visit up at Highland View," he replied smoothly. "I heard you were downtown." "Oh yeah. Grab lunch with the team." His words skated over my doubt, never quite settling. But the photo was burned into my mind, the curve of a woman's silhouette where only I should have been. Later, Lisa sat with me on the couch, wrapping me in a hug. "You don't deserve this," she whispered. "Maybe this is your sign to start over." "I'll help you." She suggested a trip. "Tell him you're visiting Aunt Beth in Santa Barbara. See how he reacts." She smiled like it was a joke, but her eyes were too sharp. I hesitated, but she was already folding my sweaters into a duffel, laughing about my mismatched socks, as if we were kids again, as if everything was still okay. "If he cheats, Lucy," Lisa said, smirking as she zipped up the bag, "you didn't lose a husband. You got rid of a coward." I wanted to laugh with her. I wanted those words to feel like a battle cry. But I just nodded, clinging to her comfort like a life raft. But I never went to Santa Barbara. I stayed 20 minutes away at Mary's house, a place that smelled of lavender and old books. It wasn't home, but it was quiet. Then came Saturday night. Lisa's text lit up my phone. Another photo. My living room. My couch. A woman's long blonde hair cascading over a white blouse, her back turned to the camera. "He brought her here," I whispered, staring at the screen as if blinking hard enough might erase it. Mary's voice cut through my disbelief. "You can't even see her face, Lucy. Are you sure you trust Lisa?" "She's my sister," I said, but the words felt shaky. Monday came, and with it, another crack. Lisa met me at the door, eyes swollen, lips trembling like a rehearsed performance. "I should have told you sooner," she said, voice breaking. "He was so at ease, laughing, pouring wine on your couch." My couch. My safe space. Now stained by their betrayal. That evening, Adam claimed he'd been in Bakersfield all weekend. I asked, "Can you prove it?" His expression faltered, just for a moment. You don't trust me now? Trust is earned, I said quietly. And you're tearing it down. He left. He always left when questions got too close. Lisa's constant sympathy was starting to feel suffocating. Be ready, Lucy. When the truth comes out, it burns everything down. But that night, I didn't cry. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling as Lisa's footsteps padded down the hallway, carrying a cup of chamomile tea. You deserve a love that doesn't lie, she murmured in the dark. You talk like you know exactly what's happening, I said, unsure if I wanted to hear her answer. She smiled, but it didn't touch her eyes. I know men like him. I was married to one. Her words sat heavy, like a puzzle piece that didn't fit. Then came the phone call I wasn't supposed to hear. Tuesday afternoon, I came home early. From the hallway, I heard Lisa's laughter, light, casual. But her words tightened around my chest like a vice. She's almost there, Lisa. She's broken. It's just a matter of time. A man's voice. Adam's voice. We just need to be careful, Lisa replied. She has to let go on her own. She hung up as I stepped into the room. Lucy, you're home early. Meeting canceled. Her smile was too fast, too bright. Who were you talking to? I asked, watching her blink too much. Faith. About the jewelry shop, she said smoothly. But that wasn't Faith's voice. The next morning, I bought a burner phone, downloaded a recording app. Spying on my own sister felt like betrayal, but living in her half-truths felt worse. As much as I hated it, part of me still clung to Adam. I kept searching for him in the man who came home late, hoping some part of him still missed me. Or maybe that part was already gone. You've been distant, he said one night, his concern a little too polished. Is there something I should know? No, I lied. Just tired. A couple of nights later, Lisa came to me with that sisterly tone. Maybe you should stay at Mary's for a few days. Clear your head. Do you want me out? I asked. She sighed, draping an arm around me like the perfect sister. I want you to rest. You haven't been sleeping. She wasn't wrong, but neither was she right. While packing in the guest room, I found a box of chocolates under the bed, tied with a neat ribbon. Tucked underneath was a card. To the most beautiful woman in this house. Can't wait to see you. Adam's handwriting. The air grew heavy. The lie was so bold. It was almost impressive. I slipped the card into my pocket, pasted on a smile, and walked into the living room. You still want me to go to Mary's? I asked, watching Lisa closely. Of course, she said sweetly. Take care of yourself. I'll leave tomorrow. She smiled, relieved, thinking she was still in control. What she didn't know was that the recorder was already rolling. But I didn't go to Mary's. I went to Carol's. Carol wasn't family, but she understood the quiet ways women fall apart and how they slowly piece themselves back together. She didn't ask questions. She didn't need to. That night, sitting on her guest bed, I put the phone on speaker, recording app open. Lisa's voice floated through. She's gone. Away for the weekend. Now it's your turn. Adam's reply made my hands ball into fists. Do you think she suspects? Lisa laughed. A cold, sharp laugh. She still thinks I'm helping her. Can you believe it? I even left the note with the chocolates. She still thinks Natalie exists. Natalie. The ghost woman they invented to keep me chasing shadows. I sat there, not as a victim, but as a woman finally watching the truth unfold, a truth I'd carried silently for too long. But I didn't cry. I smiled. Not from bitterness or anger, but because something deep inside me had shifted. This wasn't about them anymore. This was about taking myself back. When I returned, Lisa greeted me at the door with a hug, so rehearsed it felt like bad theater. How was Mary's? She asked, scanning me for weakness. Relaxing, I said, matching her performance with a new one of my own. It helped. Adam barely glanced up from his phone, his indifference another small death I no longer grieved. That night, I made dinner. Set the table like old times. Let them sit in the weight of their own performance. They exchanged uneasy glances, but I stayed calm. There was no hurry. Healing doesn't shout. It whispers, patient and steady. After dinner, I raised my glass and looked straight at Adam. Remember that restaurant you claimed you'd never been to? His fork froze midair. Lisa's breath hitched. And Lisa, that photo you sent me of the other woman? I smiled, tilting my head. Funny thing, I zoomed in on the mirror. You're in it. The silence that followed wasn't loud. It was suffocating. I let it linger. For once, I didn't scramble to fill the void with explanations or apologies. I let the truth breathe. I set my phone on the table and hit play. The room was still, except for the crackle of recorded voices. Lisa's came first, sharp and cutting. She's gone. Now it's your turn. Her face went pale, as if the truth had slapped her. This is an invasion of privacy, she snapped, trying to seize control, but her words fell flat. No, Lisa, I said, surprised at how calm I sounded. This is self-defense. Recorded in my home. My truth. Adam's composure cracked, his eyes darting between us. Lucy, let us explain. I cut him off. No. You didn't betray me to protect me. You betrayed me because it was easier. Lisa's mask slipped. Her voice, sharp with years of buried resentment, spat out. You always had the perfect life. The favorite. I hated you for it. I was always second best. The lump in my throat tightened. So your answer was to destroy what I had? Her eyes gleamed with a desperate sort of pride. I didn't just want what you had. I wanted to be you. To be loved. And when I saw I could take it, I did. Her bitterness hit me like a gut punch. You used Mom's memory against me, I said, my voice trembling. You knew I'd never abandon you. But you threw that away for your ego. Lisa sneered. You think you're better? No, I said, shaking my head. I just never needed to destroy someone else to feel alive. Tears streamed down her face, but it wasn't regret. It was rage. You don't know what it's like living in someone else's shadow. I stood up. The room was so quiet, I could hear my own breath. Lisa, shadows only exist when there's light. My light was never meant to outshine you. It was meant to shine with you. You chose the dark. Adam shifted, panic creeping in. Lucy, this is bigger than you think. I met his gaze. Unflinching. Bigger than a marriage you destroyed? Bigger than a sister you betrayed? No, Adam. This isn't big. This is small. You both made small choices. Over and over again. I took a breath. You have 24 hours to leave. Divorce papers are with my lawyer. And Lisa, this is your last family gathering. You're not my sister anymore. You're just someone who chose to be small. Lisa's lips quivered. You can't erase me. I shook my head slowly. Oh, but I can. Family is built on loyalty. Yours died the moment you looked me in the eye and lied. I turned and walked away. That night, I locked my door and slept alone. But I slept free. They thought I'd shatter. What they forgot is, a wounded woman doesn't disappear. She rebuilds. And when she rises, she returns every blow, with grace, precision, and silence. The next morning, sunlight poured through the kitchen window as I brewed my coffee. I opened a fresh notebook, blank pages. No more feelings. No more pain. Just actions. My plan wouldn't be loud. It would be surgical. Adam had a lucrative contract, building a cultural center, funded by a private foundation. What he didn't know was that the foundation's director was married to Carol, my boss, my quiet ally. I called her. I need to show you something. In her office, I laid out everything. Audio clips, bank statements, receipts, proof that Adam funneled family funds into his affair. This foundation stands for ethics, right? I asked. Carol nodded, eyes sharp. Do you want me to confront him? No, I smiled. I want the truth to confront him. 3 days later, Adam lost the contract. Official reason: conflict of values. 70% of his income gone. Lisa was gearing up to launch L&M Studio, her boutique accessories brand, her ticket to being somebody. I anonymously sent screenshots to the boutiques she had pitched. Lisa and Adam, grinning, scheming. Is this the image you want for your brand? The responses came fast. Thanks for the heads up. We're reconsidering. We don't support this behavior. Her carefully built reputation crumbled before the doors even opened. But I never stooped to their level. I rose. I organized a women's empowerment event at my school. Educators, psychologists, artisans. I opened with a short, anonymous speech. I was betrayed by my sister and my husband. They tried to make me question my worth. But I'm still here. They're not. The applause was thunderous. From the back of the room, I spotted Lisa, disguised, head down, slipping out before it ended. She got the message. That night, Adam texted, "Was it you? The contract thing?" I replied, "I didn't do anything. I just let the truth surface." He called. I let it ring. The next morning, his company was publicly suspended from city contracts due to prior misconduct. Karma has a way of reading the fine print. But Adam wasn't done falling. A former employee dropped a documentary, raw and unsparing. Fake invoices, staged charity projects, private audio of Adam bragging about selling dreams to idiots. He became an internet meme overnight. He tried to sue. He failed. He tried to pivot as a business mentor. No one cared. Every attempt to clean his image only made the ridicule louder. He wasn't a threat anymore, just a cautionary tale. A man trapped in a small apartment, watching videos of his own downfall, the same screen he once used to build his empire now reflecting his disgrace. While they crumbled, I flourished. I transformed our old TV room into a cozy library. I hosted writing workshops for women. Every session was packed. "You write what we live," one woman told me. "You show us it's possible to start again." That healed me more than any therapy ever could. Months passed, and the workshops became my sanctuary, a space where healing wove itself through shared stories and soft laughter. Women from all walks of life came together, not chasing gossip, but drawn to the quiet strength that had taken root in my story. My name no longer carried the weight of whispered betrayals. It became a quiet emblem of resilience, of dignity worn like armor, of courage that stands firm even when the ground beneath feels unsteady. Yet, despite everything I had rebuilt, despite the growth staring back at me in the mirror, this didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a beginning, a slow, steady unfolding of something deeper inside me. One ordinary Sunday, I found myself in the small cafe Lisa and I had once frequented. The familiar scent of coffee mingled with sunlight through the window. A waitress caught my eye and smiled, a recognition there that surprised me. "Your sister used to come here all the time, always with that tall guy, the construction type. Haven't seen them around lately. But you look free." I smiled back, a truth settling in my chest for the first time in years. "I am." That night, I opened a fresh notebook and wrote something down, a quiet promise more than a declaration. To rise isn't to erase the past, but to build from its lessons. For the first time in what felt like forever, I slept without the heaviness dragging at my chest. The pain hadn't vanished, but it was shifting, changing shape, becoming something that could fuel me instead of weigh me down. Their names? They were still there, etched deep in every brick of what I was rebuilding, but not as curses, rather as reminders of what I refused to lose, myself. Then, one afternoon, a letter arrived. The handwriting was unmistakable, Lisa's. Precise, careful, like the notes we used to slip under each other's bedroom doors when the world outside was too loud. Notes filled with secrets and dreams, not wounds or regrets. "Lucy, I made mistakes. Too many. I'm not asking for forgiveness. But I need you to know. I lost everything. The business. The house. Adam left me. Betrayal doesn't build anything lasting. I'm alone now, and I finally see the damage I caused you. If there's room left in your heart, please call. Love. Lisa." I read those words slowly, letting each one settle like stones in my chest. A swirl of emotions, anger, pity, nostalgia, guilt, rose and fell within me. But beneath it all was something clearer, a stillness calling me forward. I reached for the phone and dialed. "Hello." Her voice was fragile, the tremor unmistakable. "Lisa, it's Lucy." A silence stretched between us, delicate and tense, as if years of distance could snap at any moment. "You got my letter?" she whispered, voice barely steady. "I'm not calling to forgive you," I said softly. "I understand. But I'm offering you something." She sniffled, hesitant. "What?" "If you want help, there's one condition. You write everything down. The truth. Every detail. Sign it. And give me permission to include it in my book. A long pause. You want dignity? Then give me back my truth. Let the world see it, not to tear down, but to heal. You want me to expose myself? No. I want you to stop hiding behind lies. She hung up. 2 days later, an email arrived. Subject: confession. Her words unfolded like a map of everything I'd sensed but never fully grasped. Every detail laid bare, every line heavy with regret, signed with her own hand. Reading it, I saw the pieces of my life differently. The late nights alone, the half-truths, the silence where trust had lived. This confession wasn't just an admission. It was a key, unlocking my own story, inviting me to write it fully and honestly. From that moment on, I began to write, not to condemn, but to understand. The pages became a refuge where pain softened into purpose, where betrayal was transformed into strength. The book grew chapter by chapter, a careful reclaiming of my voice and my story. It wasn't about tearing others down. It was about building something new from the pieces left behind. When the book was finally published, its truth reached far beyond what I had imagined. And then, unexpectedly, they appeared. Adam and Lisa, caught on camera at separate times, each clutching a copy of my book. Faces half-hidden, lives overshadowed by what they could no longer avoid. They retreated into silence and shadows, while I stood firmly in the light I had fought to find. Adam disappeared from my life completely, swallowed by the consequences of his choices. Lisa faded into quiet reflection, no longer pretending, carrying the weight of her own truth. As for me, I live with a steady heart and a clearer purpose. The dedication in my book reads, "To every woman who's ever been betrayed and doubted her worth, this is for you. You rise stronger than they ever imagined." With pen in hand, I carry forward the belief that scars aren't signs of defeat. They're stories waiting to be told. Stories of courage, resilience, and renewal. Because this isn't a story of falling apart. It's a story of rising, of finding, even in the darkest moments, the strength to reclaim your life. And that's a story worth telling. Have you ever been through something like this? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Thanks so much for watching Rise with Sherry. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more.